So I saw something a little strange, a little disturbing yesterday, and it was a family. It was a family of five. It was a mother and four children living in their car. And you can see this car here behind me. This is like a little small size crossover. The car was actually smaller than the car that's behind me. And this is a growing trend that is happening across the country as inflation, the economy, job loss, businesses are suffering, employment is going down, wages are going down, necessities, the price of food, rent, utilities, insurance, gas, everything is going up. Inflation is hurting the American people. It is hurting the working class. It is hurting the middle class. It is destroying the middle class. It's ultimately going to end up being the uber rich, uber wealthy 1% and the absolute poorest. There will be no in between. And a way to mitigate this is by cutting costs. You can do a few things, but either you make more money or you cut costs. Now, if you can make more money and cut costs, that's going to be a really great duo. But for most folks, the immediate option is to try to cut costs. And homelessness, although it won't be a matter of you sitting on a street corner holding a sign begging for money, homelessness is going to grow. Homelessness is going to increase in the simple fact that people, one, there's a housing shortage. Two, the Fed raising interest rates is going to hurt the housing market, and we're going to see the bubble not necessarily pop, but the housing market bubble is going to deflate for sure. And buyers are going to become less and less qualified. Homes are going to become more and more expensive as the interest rates rise, making the monthly mortgage payments higher. Landlords are going to charge more for rent because they know that their properties are going to be in high demand for the folks that aren't interested or unable to get a mortgage or even find a house to buy at a price that they would be willing to pay for or could even afford. So part of the solution is reducing your expenses, lowering your budget. And one way to do it is to eliminate housing costs and live out of your car. A family of five living in a car. We've seen it before. People would live in converted vans and RVs and campers and things like that. But I think that was more of like a novelty, maybe a little opportunity to travel and get away during the height of the pandemic, especially when social distancing was a thing. But I think now, for the simple fact that everything is so expensive and people are losing their jobs. Granted, we have these job reports that claim we have the lowest unemployment in 40 years. I don't think that's actually 100% accurate and true as far as what they're telling you. And you kind of have to read between the lines to understand what they're really trying to say. But at the end of the day, people are struggling. People are poor. People are broke. People are hurting every single time they go to the grocery store and try to buy food. If it's even there, it's too expensive for them. People are in fear of losing their jobs and being laid off and fired and terminated. Mass layoffs occurring at companies like Walmart and even tech companies. And we're seeing cryptocurrencies crashing and wallets being locked out and people's money just being unavailable. Money is becoming harder and harder to earn. It's becoming harder and harder to keep. And it's becoming easier and easier to spend as prices continuously rise. I spoke to someone who worked at a Target, and they told me that they did not feel comfortable or confident that they were going to survive the holiday season employed at Target because of what they have seen going on in the company, what they have seen going on in the economy, and they feel as though that if they make it through the holiday season, slim chance, primarily because they see some really interesting fluctuations in their inventory. They're seeing pullback from the shoppers, and granted, we are in a touristy area, so their foot traffic, their sales are probably going to drop drastically since we're getting, we're pretty much the end of summer as far as school goes. So, the travel is going to change a little bit as we move into the holiday season, and then it's probably going to retract. This is a town where when pretty much after Labor Day, it's pretty like businesses start to close. They're not going to be open 7 days a week. They're not going to be open 5 days a week. They may only be open 3 days a week and then limited hours at that. And, with inflation and people not having enough money, food costing more, all expenses going up, rent going up, interest rates going up, people are going to be more conscious of where they're putting their money, where they're spending it, what necessities they're buying, what non-essentials they're avoiding, what discretionary spending or disposable income they have left, if any, what they're going to do with it, because they're worried, they're afraid, they are scared. I don't blame them. I don't, I don't doubt that we are on track and projected towards a huge economic collapse and crash, and we're going to see a huge shift, drastic shift. But with that, like I said, a family of five living in a car, homeless, living out of a car, living in a vehicle. This is what they had to do. They had blankets, they had pillows, they had their clothes in there. They had this little hot plate, to heat up some food. They had, water bottles, but there's not a lot of space. It's not the greatest of conditions, and it's a scary thought, but this is the direction that we're going. And unless we can figure out a solution, unless maybe our government can step in and provide some aid, maybe if companies can, devise plans to increase their production and improve the pricing, maintain some profitability, but spread the wealth a little bit to the employees so that they can afford what's going on. Otherwise, inflation is going to eat up, it's going to chew up and spit out the hardworking Americans, the middle class working poor that, allowed this country to grow and these businesses to grow to be where they are today. I spoke to somebody in commission sales, and they are extremely afraid because they don't think that in the industry that they're in, they're going to make any money because, one, they don't have anything to sell. Everything's waitlisted or back ordered or already pre-sold. They're afraid that they're not going to be able to sell anything to make commissions, on top of the fact that people don't really want to spend like they used to earn the commissions. And, everybody's on edge. Some salaried employees that I spoke with at companies that are fearing their job security and safety. And, I posed the question, it's like, hey, are you ready to live in your car? Is your family prepared to live out of your car? And, they're like, if we have to, I guess that's the direction we're going. But it's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. I've seen it so many times. And, you've probably seen it. You've probably seen, a car full of different items that, look like someone may be sleeping in it, not realizing that the family's actually living out of the car. So, we got a really, really tough situation on our hands. I don't know if we're going to see any form of stimulus or any support or any sort of funding or direct deposits from the government to help ease the pain and bridge the gap. But at the same time, I want you guys to be aware of what's going on out there.